right, what is up? What is up? We are doing a duel replay actually with a platinum ranked duel of mine because I actually learned something pretty interesting in this duel. So yeah, let's check it out and we'll go ahead and see if we can't glean any more information from this. So they won the dice roll or the coin flip, so they'll choose to go first. Let's see, our opening hand here, we've got talents, called by Allure, Levy, and Maxi. So I think I learned some stuff here too. I go back and forth on whether it's correct to drop Maxi in the draw phase / standby, or like waiting to go to main for like them to actually commit to a special summon. Just because the pros and cons, right? If you drop it here, you play around Triple Tactics Talent, which I happen to have in my hand. And gosh, I really don't want to have to let my opponent do any of these things. So that's typically why I drop it in the draw or standby phase. The con, though, is if your opponent does not need to special summon, you just kind of hand loop yourself. So I go back and forth. When Kashtira was more in the format, I think this was more correct. Now I think there's a good argument for either. You can put him on better have talent, or yeah, you can drop it early. So I choose to drop it early. Just kind of my personal preference. They could have chosen to special summon here, which was I find kind of interesting. I guess they didn't want to hand loop or lose another card from their hand, and so yeah, they'll just tip for their Runick Fountain here, which I guess is fine. It lets them play on my turn as well. The best part about this Runick Thunder matchup in particular, though, is all of their banishes, if they hit a Thunder monster, can theoretically trigger my cards. So I actually really love the banishing that they're doing to me. No problems there. So they do end up activating the Runick Fountain, set 2, so I have to assume that these aren't Runicks, and you know, maybe some floodgates or some legitimate back row here. So we go ahead and draw for turn. What's nice is, you know, we've already got a draw 2 here, and now this branded regained kind of guarantees us a draw 3, unless they stop us, of course. So fire off the regained first, right, because if we banish a light or dark, we can put it back to draw a card, and we're about to banish a dark anyways. And this Levy's not summoning itself. There's no grave setup, so this Allure really kind of needs to go in here. Double Lubellion. Gotta love to see it. Both lights, so absolutely the Levy is getting banished, which will then kind of trigger the branded regained. And I did think that they would probably try to stop this, but alas, they did not. And we hit the Lightning Storm, which of course we have a face-up card for. Now, Runick does play around Lightning Storm relatively well. You know, they can special summon to protect, but I still like forcing them to use their Runick cards in that way. So yeah, we'll have to play with the Lightning Storm in hand for now. We'll go ahead and grab our Magnemut, go ahead and summon it out using the Lubellion. Normally, you might want to go for like a Sorinier if this is the case, if you don't have another Lubellion. I happen to have another one, so banishing one copy is no problem because we're just going to tribute over. So we'll go ahead and get our Magnemut Search in the end phase, and then special summon from hand. And they have Judgment. Monster would be special summon or summoned, period. Or spell or trap is activated, pay half, negate the summon or activation, and destroy the card. Old man says no. So they go ahead and hit my Lubellion. So we just go ahead and bluff an Impermanent inside our called by, which doesn't really come up, but you know, if they hit a Maxi or something like that, little insulation for us. So we go ahead and get our Magnemut Search in the end phase for Druis Worm, probably the best one here since we already have a Lubellion set up, and since we have regained, you know, we don't need to sword near dump or anything like that. They go ahead and choose to activate in my end phase, by the way, their Smiting Storm to banish or special summon. Now what's nice is at this point, I don't think they know I'm on Thunder. This should tell them I'm on Thunder, but if they're not super clued into that, they might not know, which is why they're activating what I assume is, yeah, the banish effect. And of course, we hit a Thunder, so we're popping the heck off. So they will get to use their Fountain to put back 2 to draw, so they want a little draw power before they start their turn. But we're just going to use our lure here in response. So they can draw 2, whatever, that's fine. We're getting our body out from deck, which, you know, will essentially just be our dark here. Now they choose to destroy the branded regained, which is interesting. So they're then going to banish the top 4 cards of my deck, which is kind of surprising. I guess they're just committed to, all right, we just need to start, you know, cleaning up the field. I'm totally fine with this regained hidden grave, by the way, because Lubellion can just set up a Beast, which Beast will re-grab the regained. So totally fine with that. Not to mention, This is coming back in my end phase. The dark is coming back in my end phase thanks to the roar. So I'll have an open field ready for the lightning storm. All right, so they go ahead and take their draw here. Set one, pass. What's interesting is they're also not choosing to skip their battle phase, which tells me that they're probably on like a pure Runick, like a deck out strategy, which is totally fine. You know, we both seem to have pretty high deck counts. Well, me for one. They just keep recycling their cards. But yeah, during the end phase, we might as well thin the deck a little bit and set up the dark for next turn. We can banish it to get some better effects. I don't know why Lubellion's just glued to my hand in this game, but, you know, it is. So, honestly, it probably comes up. So, I figure, like, all right, they're probably going to play around this, but this is going to be my only chance to activate it. So, at the very least, this will bait a Runick card out of them. So, they choose to special summon a Runick, which is totally fine. Hugin will indeed protect. And Hugin also can grab a Runick Fountain if it is allowed to discard. However, they're probably just going to be using the protect effect. Yep. So they banish that thing instead of their whole back row getting wiped, which is totally correct. They'll go ahead and put back 2 to draw 2, hopefully hitting some Runicks. But, yeah, we don't really care. So we're just going to go ahead and get our Druisworm play going here, which banishes the dark. And this is very, very odd, because they activate Safe Zone. I don't know if they're thinking that, like, I'm just going to leave this Druisworm and try to attack them or something like that. But it seemed very odd to activate Safe Zone here. So probably good to read over this a little bit. So activate this card by targeting one face-up monster on the field. One face-up attack position monster, notably. That face-up monster cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot attack your opponent directly. I think that last line is the only thing that matters here. They're trying to have this thing they're trying to stop this thing from attacking directly. Which, if that's the case, you absolutely wait until battle phase to use something like that, because then I've committed to, you know, battling and attacking, right? But now we're still in main phase, so I can do whatever I want. So I go ahead and search a Hawk, which is just an extra extender. At this point, we only have 2 banished Thunders, so it doesn't really make sense to go for the fusion. So the only other thing to special summon a Thunder is going to be our Hawk. But then I'm like, okay, so obviously we're just going to go for the Lubellion here. And yeah, this is an interesting play. So I get rid of their safe zone, because when the monster leaves the field, the safe zone is destroyed. So I bring out the Lubellion. Looks like they're on their judgment again, so they're going to go ahead and pay half to negate the summon. Now, this is where we should read Lubellion very carefully. It's a freaking novel of text. I totally get it. But it says, cannot be normal summoned / set. Must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard. We got some in grave. We got one in hand. Must be special summoned from graveyard. This one was from the grave. Whoops. Lubellion here. By tributing one level 6 or higher dark dragon monster. You can only special summon Bystial Lubellion once per turn this way. So they are negating the summon. So once this judgment resolves, I will have unsuccessfully summoned Bystial Lubellion. My summon was negated. The summon did not happen. Totally fine. Because we've got another one in hand, which means another Bystial in hand. Which means, and not to mention, they're down to 2,000 life. So we go ahead and banish the Lubellion. There's 2 copies of Lubellion in the grave. One was banished, which now we have 2 copies of Lubellion banished here. So that 3rd copy is really coming up here, because that was still in the grave. And I can successfully summon this because it was not summoned. The special summon was negated by judgment. So in these weird instances where you get your summon negated, you can summon Lubellion again. This was kind of news to me. I was just grabbing another Bystial body. And then I realized I could summon Lubellion, and so this gave me a second read for sure. And I think it's right here. Once I activate the beast to try to set from deck, their interruptions are turned off. I'm gonna get rid of the Runick, and then that's it. So very, very wild duel in terms of learning something. Doesn't come up often, but a great reason to play 3 Lubellion. And if you get your summon negated, you can summon it again. That I think is pretty cool. Anyways, till next time.